Min Canada here. You are listening to the Trips and Global on Wheels podcast hour, the place to be to learn about the latest and greatest life stories from people who are doing incredible disability advocacy work. Steph Aiello, welcome to the Trips and Global on Wheels podcast hour.
Hi, thank you.
The bio that I'm going to read is actually from Bustle. I thought they did a really good job of capturing your life. So in 2010, one day before Steph was supposed to start cosmetology school, Steph Aiello was involved in a car crash that left her paralyzed from the waist down with limited ability to move her hands, and one of her closest friends died as well. She would spend the next several months in rehab, gaining sensation in half of her back, but battling major anxiety and depression. A few months later, she found herself in another accident when a drunk driver crashed into the car her family was in, just one block from the hospital. Aiello was also diagnosed with cancer shortly after, and yet in the face of such adversity, Aiello's courage and resilience not only helped her beat cancer but become stronger. It also motivated her to pursue her love of makeup. Steph also learned that she can dance. She has become the co-captain of the Roulette wheelchair dance team based out of Southern California. Teen Vogue also writes that Steph is a professional makeup artist with over 100,000 followers on Instagram, an ambassador for Wings for Life World Run, which I've participated in, a charity dedicated to finding a cure for spinal injuries. That's what Wings for Life World Run is. And is single-handedly proving that disabilities don't have to keep you from following your dreams. In fact, they can be the driving force behind them, as Steph will show us. So welcome again, Steph.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Of course. So, as we were reading earlier, you were supposed to start cosmetology school a day before your accident. So what do you enjoy about putting on makeup and just like that whole world?
Well, I've always loved seeing transformations. So actually, before I got heavily into makeup, I was a dog groomer. So I would groom dogs and see the transformation of matted dogs, big dogs, little dogs, and just doing different things like that. So I'm fascinated with transformations. And so when it came to makeup and my girlfriends, my twin, and everyone would start asking me to do their makeup, it became like a trigger in my mind, like, okay, well, this is cool. I could make people feel just as good as dogs feel. And and I started doing everyone's makeup and fell in love with it and knew that it was something that of how I wanted to express myself.
How and what do you think able-bodied people should change about how they look at people with disabilities? So think about this in terms of being a makeup artist and how you're helping to shape the image of the disability community.
Yeah, something that always, I think, like really throws off a lot of us wheelchair users is when people approach you and they're like, hey, you're really pretty for a girl in a wheelchair, or you're really pretty for something in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of baffling to me that there is this stigma that you have to look a certain way. You have to be in sweats. You have to have your hair in a ponytail or not take care of yourself and be presentable for being someone who's in a wheelchair. And so I'm happy that I'm not the only one now, or I don't feel so alone in the makeup community. There are other girls who have limited hand function and also paraplegics who are joining in on this and showing that you can be beautiful no matter what your disability is. And I hope that able bodies see that as well, and this becomes a normal. It's kind of shocking to me when people are like, oh my gosh, like you can do all that with your hand function. And, of course it's new to the able-bodied community now, but I hope that one day it's not a shocker.
I think you're right. A lot of it is just I'm just coining it right now. Actually, novelty wariness. It's like what we're doing is not new, not different, but because we have a disability, so people have that very patronizing
Yeah.
uh, reaction to it,
Mhm.
and so it seems like it's what patronizing is. They're complimenting you, but it's really
Yeah.
something that you do all the time, and it's like
Mhm.
if anybody else was doing it, they wouldn't make such a big deal. And so it's that very
Yeah.
uncomfortable feeling that happens all the time.
Yeah,
And
it's like when people say that we are inspiring for getting up and being out at a bar on a Friday night. And it's like, well, you do it. Why can't I? Or like when I get dressed and it's inspiring that I put all these things on by myself. And it's like, well, if I was like you, would it be just as inspiring? I'm just living my life. And I just want to be seen as that as well.
exactly, exactly. So you are such a role model for millions now. And speaking of, there was that story in Virginia with that little girl seeing your ad,
Yay.
your Ulta ad, and and that's actually how I found out about you. Is my friend in Virginia, another friend, not that little girl's mom, posted about you and your beautiful photo, which I love. And I was like, oh, I have to have this girl on my show. And I read about you and just and thought that I would really enjoy getting to know you. And so that's how I found out about you as well. So you're a role model for thousands and probably millions by now. That little girl in Virginia was one of them where, she's a 4-year-old girl, right, in a wheelchair, and she was just wheeling with her mom and suddenly stopped when she saw a photo of you in a wheelchair looking stunning and gorgeous. And then Ulta made it possible for you two to meet. So that was really touching. So what do you enjoy about being a role model for people with disabilities? And what do you think are the responsibilities of influencers who have such a big following like you? Obviously, you're more than just an influencer for people with disabilities and a role model. You're a role model for everybody, but specifically for our purposes, focus on the disability community.
Thank you. I feel as if the thing that's like makes me feel most proud is that now when a newly injured person or someone who is just hitting their teens who've been disabled or been in a wheelchair their entire lives, if they go online and they search something on YouTube, there's so many tutorials now. And so I really feel like that's something that I feel really happy to be a part of. I know I'm not the only one who does these tutorials, but now there's car transfers, dressing, there's all these really cool videos coming out that I didn't have when I first got injured. I mean, I remember approaching people and asking them like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And to be honest, when I first got injured, I felt like this world was extremely competitive. There was other quadriplegics who were extremely independent, and I wanted to be so much like them, and no one would give me like the quote unquote secret to how to be independent, how to be you and live your life again. And so I decided that I didn't want anyone else who follows up getting injured after me to have the same experience that I did. And so I'm really happy and I feel honored and proud that me along with some others who are part of like this movement are deciding to do tutorials on not only beauty but like how do you live your life and how do you be independent. And so and I guess like as quote unquote being like a role model, I feel like that's the best part, is that no one else has to struggle as badly as I did, because we are kind of giving them those secrets, or quote unquote secrets, and being like, hey, this is how you can do it.
So I've seen a few of your YouTube videos by now, and I love, you're just so raw and so vulnerable. Sometimes I'm just like, Wow, I wouldn't ever put myself out there like that. I mean, I'm like, she's just asking for judgment, but you're just like
I
so
know,
brave.
right?
And the stories that you share, and but you know, that's how you create a movement, right? Each person, um people like you who are brave and courageous, who are willing to share their stories, willing to be so vulnerable and so raw and so just put themselves in that place of criticism or praise, or because you're right, I feel the competitiveness as well, no matter if it's like the makeup industry, or it's, you know, being independent. Oh, I'm more independent because I have this kind of disability, or it's doing disability advocacy work. I think we all feel it to some extent. And to see the larger picture instead of the smaller competitions and rivalries. And I think you've really started a great healthy movement in really helping to educate and inform, rather than um, purely for um, you know, to gain following, for to be famous, right? You have a mission, you have a purpose, and you, like, it really shows. And by how vulnerable you put yourself in situations that I'm like, why?
Yeah, I honestly, when I first started doing these tutorials and videos and doing blogging and stuff, I had no idea I would be where I am at today.
And I think sharing that, pointing that out, and then sharing the impact of not being so competitive, and just, we each have our unique stories and our perspectives. And as long as we're real, we're honest with
Mhm.
each other, and we share, you know, the good and the bad of it all, we'll each will have an audience, you know? It's not
Mhm.
this very scarce society out there.
Exactly, exactly. Like everyone is different, and that's what is so cool about this injury too. It's like I can be another C5 and we're complete opposites. And but that what's so good is that we all are relatable in our own ways. And the only thing holding them back from being where I'm at is being that vulnerable person, so that they can have those internet friends and those people who they can relate to, because there's an audience for everybody.
Mhm. Yeah, in fact, we have overpopulation right now. So, um, and moving on to dance. So, how does someone in a wheelchair join a Roulette dance team? So, tell us how you got started and what it's
Oh
like,
man.
and how you got involved in this very cool group. I've watched quite a few videos. I got addicted, actually. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it was amazing. And for other little girls or boys that have disabilities and want to join, yeah, tell us.
Yeah, so we actually host yearly. It's called the Roulette Experience, and so that's how other people can come and join and dance with us and learn. And it's way more than just dancing at this experience. I host a makeup class. Marie and Sam host workout and fitness and wellness, and we're just expanding in the way of like trying to make it more of a girls' weekend, or like of friends. And so because that's what we are. We're friends. The Roulettes, we're just a group of girls who are just like everyone else, who fight, who bicker, who love and support each other unconditionally. We're just like that group of girls that you would have in high school. So that's the Roulettes. We're awesome in each other's lives. Like I feel so proud and honored to be a part of a group like this, because we all are so different too. I was the first quadriplegic on the dance team. And so that was what kind of held me back from joining a lot sooner, was the fact that I didn't want to be the only quadriplegic. I didn't know how I was going to do these willy spins and these willies and do these hand movements that they do. But the cool part about being with people who can relate and understand you is that they're always willing to understand that you are different, and they adapt everything for me. And so if I can't spin fast enough, you'll see in the formations that there will be two girls who just spin halfway and come back. And that's partially because we are adapting it to each other so that we all can feel good and confident in dance.
So it looks like so much fun. I wish I was in LA and in the California area and try it out sometime. So one article about you writes, dance has the power to inspire, heal, and bring people together. Just take a look at the Roulette, a California-based wheelchair dance team, which we were just talking about, um, is working to promote women's empowerment and destigmatize the disabled community. So in your opinion, how does the Roulette live up to its mission, which is to empower women with disabilities to live boundlessly and shift perspectives through dance? How does joining this team have really made you feel boundless?
Well, like I've said, joining this team was something that was like absolutely crucial. I feel boundless being with the team, and we motivate other women in the world by being ourselves and being confident, and like I said, adapting life and making our lives our new normal. And so that is something that we really take pride in, is showing the good, the bad, the ups, the down, because in reality we are just like everybody else. I know on social media it could be easy to make it look as if our lives are like perfect and we're doing all these cool fun things, but it's important for us to be a vulnerable one for everybody, and I feel like we all kind of do our part in that. And it's so strange to say, but I feel like us being vulnerable and showing our downs really helps motivate people to know that, one, they're not alone, and two, that they can get back up from that place.
That's awesome. So I know Dylan Alcott in Australia is a champion tennis player and basketball player, um, who's based in Melbourne, Australia. But he always says when he was growing up, he never saw people that were like him. And whenever he did see ads of people in wheelchairs, it was people in accidents and then have insinuating that we lead these really miserable lives, right? People in wheelchairs. And why I put in that little anecdote is that I feel like this Roulette group really sheds light on the vibrant lives that we wheelchair users lead. Sure, there are hardships, of course there are, but we also have fun. We also have all these talents, and we also, enjoy all the things other people enjoy: friendship, dancing, having fun, listening to great music, choreographing. And so
Yeah, for
I love
sure.
all those things.
I think it's also really important for people to know that, just because you're having a bad day, um, don't give your injury or your diagnosis the power of saying like, oh, it's because of that. Like, no, everybody, no matter your ability, whether you're able-bodied or not, has bad days. Do not give your injury or your disability the power of bringing you down. And so don't blame it on that. An able-bodied will just, they could just feel fat for the day and it brings down their day. Us, like, we have our moments too. And so I think something that, like, me and the Roulettes, like, what we really strive to is to not give our injury the power to control who we are, what direction we go, and our mood. We're not going to give our injury the power to change who we are. And everybody has bad days, ups, downs, goods, everything. So
Yeah, I think it's just helping to create that more of that fuller image. It's not that it's wrong, sure, that we don't have, as you were saying, bad days, hardships, things that are different than the able-bodied community, but the positive sides are not portrayed as much in the general mainstream media.
oh, for sure. Yes, for
So
sure, for sure. Even on movies and stuff, it's just like there's always someone in the wheelchair and it's like them struggling. It's like, and we just need to change that. And it starts now. It starts here. It starts with, you creating a podcast. It starts with me doing makeup, Chelsea starting a wheelchair dance team. It starts with us. And, and it starts with having a little bit of confidence just to say, you know what, I can and I will.
exactly. So now that you have honed your dance skills through the Roulette group, do you feel confident enough to or maybe you've already doing this, but to go clubbing and dance in public
Oh,
with your newfound wheelchair dancing skills, not so new anymore. Um,
yeah. Oh man.
yeah.
You know, even before joining the dance team, I was living it up. You know, it's so funny that like it's it's so funny to think of. But yeah, so I feel as if, you know, something I've always said is fake it till you make it. And that's kind of been my motto going through this injury, especially in the beginning stages, where I'm like, you know what, I don't know if I feel confident enough to enter that club, but you know, I'm going to pretend like I do and see what's response I get. And usually it's a good response. So you just have to fake it till you make it. And so yeah, since day one of my injury, that's kind of been like my thing. Like, you're gonna find me at a bar, you're gonna find me in a club, you're gonna find me on, I love line dancing, you're gonna find me on the freaking dance floor line dancing, trying to figure it out with my hands and stuff. So yeah, that's something that like needs to be seen more. It shouldn't be such a shocker to see someone in a wheelchair popping a wheelie on the dance floor.
Yeah. Whenever I go to like clubs or bars, people, random strangers, oftentimes say to me, good for you. Good for you that you're
I
out
know.
here. And
That's what I'm saying. Like, suddenly we're an inspiration for drinking a beer. Like, wait, what? Like, it's like, okay.
Crazy things. So I know that something that, speaking of personal things that you share, I know that you've said that you've always wanted a husband and kids,
Oh
and that's something
man.
that, that's something that's been a goal of yours. And so, does having a disability make you question that you can have those things and make those things become a reality someday?
You know, to be honest with you, it did in the beginning. It totally did. When the first round of me being single, I was single for like a year before I met my my ex-boyfriend, and then we were together for 6 years. And um, yeah, I don't feel that way. At all, especially because my twin just had a baby. And I think I shocked Chelsea because we were at dinner, and I told her like, yeah, I babysit him on Sundays and I'm all by myself and I take care of him. She's like, wait, you pick him? Like, how do you do that? Like, it's so crazy. I'm not worried at all. I feel as if like my dad raised us with this saying, it's like, never say I can't. And so there's no such thing as I can't to me. And I'm going to find a way and I'm going to make it happen. But I think there was some doubt in the beginning of my injury. Yeah, I'm not worried at all about dating. I'm actually dating now. I just went speed dating on Saturday. And yeah, I was the only girl in a wheelchair there. And only one person asked me why I was in a wheelchair. And it's because he was an RN. So he was in the field and wanted to know why. But yeah, the thing is like, I know that I will always be the elephant in the room. When I roll in a room, people are gonna be like, whoa, like it's gonna be like a shocker to a lot of people because it's not normal yet.
And I think as people, as a person with disabilities, at least I felt this way, you always feel obligated to share. And
Hmm.
people, with little kids, especially, they're so insensitive. And, you teach them through childhood, I think, right? Um, so that are totally unfiltered. What's wrong with you? Why are you in a wheelchair? Things like that.
I kind of see as if like we all have a disability. What, no, even able bodies, everyone has a disability. The only difference between you and I, or me and them, is that I wear mine. Mine is visible. Everyone has an insecurity. Everyone has some type of a thing that's holding them back or moving them in this direction, moving them that with depression, anxiety, like OCD. Everyone has something. It's just I wear mine and I choose not to talk about mine right off the bat. That's it.
Exactly. Ours is more obvious. It's on the
Hmm.
outside rather than on the inside, right?
Hmm.
It's um it's on display when people meet us.
Exactly.
So since you got injured when you were 20 years old, and you've lived a lot of your life without a disability. And so I think you can shed a lot of light in the next question, which is how has how able-bodied people look at you changed? How has expectations changed? How has maintaining relationships in general changed after your injury, after now living in a wheelchair, living life in a wheelchair?
I do feel as if people view me as like weaker sometimes when they are first around me. They don't know what I'm capable of. Um, but I respect the people who ask, like, hey, do you need help with this? Do you need, so I do see that. And, and that's fine. It doesn't bother me that much that people see that first and think like, oh, like, I don't know, like, should I help her? Should I do these? Like, I am viewed differently in that light, in that way. Yeah, but as far as like relationships and stuff, I don't feel as if things are like viewed too differently. I think for my parents, my relationship with my parents, it was viewed extremely differently. In the beginning, I was like their child, their baby all over again. But the important thing is to always speak up. And so when people hover over me or see me differently in the beginning, my response is I will ask if I need help. I will ask, like, it's okay. Like, I got it. I'm okay. I'll let you know if I need it. I try to like kind of check that into place when I first meet people so that it doesn't carry on through the relationship. I dated someone last year. It was like really hard because it was like obsessive, like trying to help and everything. And that does more damage. Do not enable me. Like, you know what I mean? That does way more damage than it does help. Because if you are going to do everything for me, and then everything that I've worked my butt off for the past 9 years is pointless. So in a sense, like, there are some people who are going to understand and see you differently in the beginning and then be like, okay, well, it's fine. She has it. Then there's going to be people who see you differently in the beginning and continue to see you differently. And you need to know which ones to get out the house. The ones to get rid of, because, some of us work really hard to be where we're at. And there's no point in losing that for a relationship.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is their own discomfort, right? They don't
Mm-hmm.
they don't know, and they are not exposed to people who have SCI injuries, or for me, mine's polio. And so it's the behaviors that they're showing us, it is also showing us a lot of their discomfort
Mm-hmm.
and the learning and trials and errors as well. Next question is, it seems like you've really embraced being part of the disability community. Is this something that you've come to make yourself come to terms with and accept? Or is this something that, I think that's a process for all of us, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
what I just said, come to terms with and accept.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is that your state at the moment, or is it you've really embraced it and you see the strength and beauty of the people that you've met despite their disabilities?
Yeah. So when I first got injured, I didn't want to have any friends in a wheelchair. I didn't want to face my reality. I thought I was going to snap right out of it and be walking again. So that was something that was challenging for me to come to terms with, is that this is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, because I was so ignorant to this life. I feel like, I don't know. I feel as if like I take life as how do you say this? I am optimistic, but I'm also realistic. So I think I have come to terms with this injury and have fully like absorbed it. But there's a piece of me that's still optimistic that there will be a cure. But for now, this is the reality. And so I'm going to be realistic and take it for what it is. So I would say that that's kind of how I feel about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If that's not too, I don't know. I try to be as honest as possible. Like, I would love to say like, oh yeah, I'm totally cool, I'm content, and like I know that this is gonna be my life, but there's always gonna be that piece of me that's gonna want a little bit more. Especially now having this experience of being in a wheelchair for 9 years. If I ever became an able body again, oh my gosh, my world would be, my views in life, everything would be so different. I'm so appreciative of everything. And I think like, yeah, it's just, oh man, yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think, sometimes um, people try to be politically correct. And so as we grow older and older, we learn how to be politically correct more and more often. And our boundaries become more confining and restricting. And I'm glad that for you, that hasn't happened as much, it seems. Even though some things may be controversial to say and you still voice your opinion on it, just because the good, the bad, the cringeworthy, the open-minded, everything. People are thinking about it anyways, and so not saying it does not make it not there. And
Exactly. Well said.
and so I applaud you for that. I applaud you for having the courage to always speak your mind, even if you know that people are not going to agree with you. Because it's not like a mandate, right? It's not a federal policy that you're imposing on anybody. You're just sharing your view. And so
Mhm.
no harm done in that. So last question here. Now that you are a person with a disability, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing uh, people with disabilities here in the US, or if you've gone abroad internationally as well, include that? How do you think we can overcome these challenges as a community, as an individual, but also as a community?
Mhm. I think that, in all honesty, damn, I'm like freaking proud of my freaking community. Like, I am so proud of everybody. Like, things are changing. Everything is changing. And it's not just me. It's not just the Roulettes. It's like this community has force. And I see it on social media all the time. We are all ganging up and changing the way that people view us. And that is the only way it's going to get done. That is the only way it's going to get done, is we force it upon people. And we're like, hey, no, you know what? We're here and we're just like you. So I wish that would be something that is encouraged in other countries, because I have been to other countries. I feel as if us traveling to other countries and kind of being that voice and that power, and social media is so powerful. There's so many people from other countries that follow all of us and stuff. So hopefully that gives them that push to be the first to start it in their hometown. That's where it starts. Just starts in a little area and it starts to grow. But it starts with us.
Exactly. With educating and informing and traveling. Yeah, thank you so much, Steph. It's been really enjoyable talking to you. And you have so much personality. So
Thank
I
you.
can definitely see how your following has grown so big. And
Thank you.
and good luck with your future work. If you're ever in Virginia again, like I said, I'm in DC, and
Oh, so
you want to
cool.
grab coffee or tea, or if you're at Ulta again, let me know,
For
and
sure.
we'll meet in person sometime.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Thank you so much for taking the time and doing this.
Of course. Did you like this video? If so, share with your friends and be sure to follow us on social media. And if you want even more resources, be sure to sign up for our email updates on our website, traipsingglobal.com. Keep learning new perspectives, keep being inclusive, because it will make the world a better place for you and for everyone else. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on another episode of the Traipsing Global on Wheels podcast hour.